I'm looking forward to it personally. I'm just saying. So I don't know when she'll make that decision, but apparently there's several people, Republican legislators in that state, who have already made noise about running for that seat. So it could be that she'll have a primary battle on the Republican side if she decides to run. But I don't know. Those other two ought to just back away. She's a nationally syndicated radio talk show host. Everybody knows who she is. I think she'd do a great job as their candidate. I personally, maybe that's why she didn't take the job with the Trump administration. We'll see. Let's check in right now with Carrie Lukas, who's the managing director of IWF, the Independent Women's Forum. Carrie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Wouldn't you love to see Laura Ingraham run for Senate?
Oh, my goodness. It would be such fun. You're right. Not only is she a great candidate, but it would be entertaining.
It would definitely be entertaining. And I'm sure that's the one candidate that Tim Kaine that probably wouldn't want to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody who never held a elected office, and I'm sure that would be a good one. So Inauguration Day, 3 days away, and from what I'm reading, there are going to be a number of different groups with protests planned around Washington. And am I correct that there is going to be a million-woman march on top of that?
I think they're no longer promising a million women, but it's absolutely, there's something called the March on Washington, the Women's March on Washington, and they're expecting 100,000 women or something like that to show up. I think it's really important that we recognize it. It bugs me that they always claim it as the Women's March, and yet, I don't know, I bet a lot of your female listeners out there are joining me and saying, you're not marching for me. That's not representing me. So, but somehow they always get away with claiming that title. Yeah,
it's the pretty hardcore feminist march would be the better way to look at it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. On the March's website, they talk about celebrating diversity and recognizing that diversity is their strength. And yet, there's no diversity of thought or of perspectives or policy preferences represented by this march. They're just talking about, talking about dividing people by color, by immigration status, by ethnicity, by sexual orientation. But, there was one group out there that wanted to march with them that was upset about Trump, but they were pro-life, and they booted him out. It's clear that diversity is a nice tagline, but they don't really get what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah, tolerance is not really part of the message, apparently.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And it's a shame, it really is. It's a shame. It's been almost amusing. There's been some, even among the groups that were out there to support it and kind of the leadership, it's kind of broken into a big battle. You had there were some white women decided not to take part after they were kind of told, hey, you guys need to recognize check your privilege, and they said, wait a second, it's a lot of infighting, and it's really when so much of the left these days is about separating people and not trying to bring people together, that it's no surprise that a lot of people are feeling alienated by this march.
Well, it strikes me that they want to claim that you can't be a feminist unless you agree with them. You can't be a strong, independent woman with your own thoughts on things and be called a feminist unless you agree with their point of view.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I think of all of this has gone on too long, and I'm hopeful that this is something that's going to start changing now that we've seen just how little power the media has, or the mainstream media has, in kind of defining the narrative these days. And I think conservatives can start pushing back and saying, hey, you know what? Being a feminist was supposed to be about women's equality. You can care about women's equality and still oppose your paid leave mandate or your big government program, your latest spending bill. I'm tired of it. For so long, the women. You think of all the college women right now who are in schools that have a women's studies center. I can guarantee you, if they go into one of those women's studies center and say, hey, I'd like to hold an event. I believe in lower taxes and less government regulations. If that's something I can hold events now. I think they're going to be pushed out the door. Women's study centers on college campuses are notoriously left. They don't welcome differing point of views, and that's what you see here. And I think it's time we stop letting them get away with it.
Well, I pointed out several times that Donald Trump is a lot of things, but he's not a conservative. And if you listen to what Ivanka Trump Trump stood up and pushed for at the Republican National Convention, there very well could be a lot of women in this country who benefit tremendously from some of these Trump policies. But there's some on the left that are never going to accept even the possibility of that.
No, you're absolutely right. It's funny because, as a conservative, I think we should, I should prepare myself that I'm not going to think that everything that comes out of this administration is going to be perfect. I know there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and we need to continue to keep our eye on the ball and judge policies as they come at us. But you're right. This is, there was a lot of things that had been pushed out by the Trump people, which had it come under the Hillary Clinton banister or banner on their on the top of the masthead or on the top of on their website, they would have been applauding it. And because it came from Ivanka Trump or Donald Trump, they say, no way. And they assume it's a trick. It's really getting it's tiresome. It's important. You think of how much the media did everything they possibly could to demonize the incoming president, especially when it comes to women. You still got 4 out of every 10 women